For those in the audience getting to know you for the very first time, care to share where you were born?
I was born in Washington, D.C.
And care to share where you were raised?
I was raised in Northeast on M Street.
And does it get any more specific than that?
I moved around a lot, but I didn't live everywhere, but I grew up on M Street.
And what ages were you raised on that street for?
Rough
estimate.
Shit, like my childhood, it was from like maybe 3, 4 to like 11, then moved, then came back from like 17 to like 19, but I was already outside. I was already hopping around by then.
But the time you were there, you moving out and then moving back, it was still that same street, Elm Street?
Yeah, my mother ain't sell her house till, she ain't sell her house until I was grown. She didn't sell the house till I was probably like 19 or 20 when she sold the house.
Have you showed pictures of that house? Have you used that maybe in music videos or artwork or anything of that nature? Now, what was that really like, growing up on that street for you?
Like any other kid. See, my mother had me. It was my neighbor at the end of the block. It was my man. He used to take me to school when I was going to Jill Wilson's school down the street. And we used to be skipping like shit, but I was young though. He was way older than me. I was never going to that motherfucker fuck with Avery, man. I was never going to school.
Was that an elementary school that you're referencing here?
Yeah, that's elementary.
Now, what was the top point for you during your upbringing on Elm Street? What was your highest point or most positive moment growing up in that area?
Highest point.
Yeah, highest point, most positive moment growing up in that area for you.
I don't really got no highest point. You know what I'm saying? I don't really got no highest point.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, what was the bottom point for you in that area? What was your lowest point or most negative moment?
You know, as a child, you don't ever really look at nothing negative or no positive. You innocent, so you're not saying nothing for what it is. You're a child. I was worried about playing a game. Or, you know what I'm saying, going to my friend's house. I wasn't really worrying about no negative or no positive. You know how that shit is, being a kid. I ain't started going through that type of shit since you know what I'm saying, till I got grown and started going through life. That's when I started going through some fucked up little situations.
And when those situations started happening, maybe what ages did that start for you?
I mean, well, depending on where you coming from, like, shit, yeah, like, probably like.
Was that after you had left Elm Street when that stuff started happening?
Yeah, like, cause I was a little older, so. Once I was getting put out of school and just doing dumb shit, moving house to house, and then I ended up going to job corps, got put out of job corps, just a lot of dumb shit. That's when stupid shit started happening because I wanted to apply myself how I was supposed to apply myself, you dig what I'm saying? And then, yeah, it depends on which like, what you talking about, like, as far as bad type shit happening, you feel me?
All right, so let's begin with your education. How far did you get with your education? Because you mentioned being put out, but how far did you end up going with your education?
I had to get my GED in job corps.
So you got expelled or you had dropped out from high school?
I got put out. I got put out of every school I went to. It's sad, but it's true though. And to a point where I had to just go to job corps. I had to.
How many times do you think you've been expelled in your school history? elementary, middle, high school?
Yeah, first time getting expelled was in the second grade. And then after that, it was curtains. I just started getting expelled from early school. And I wasn't even really that bad of a child, for real, but I don't know what that was about. I was just getting kicked. They was kicking my ass out. They didn't want me in the jump. So it came to a point where I had to go to Job Corps. I went to Job Corps.
So what was the last grade you got expelled from that you can recollect?
11th. I made it to like 11th grade. 10th, either 10th or 11th, I made it.
And for those in the audience that aren't familiar with what it means, but maybe have heard of Job Corps, can you explain that?
It's like a fake ass college campus in a sense, but it's for people that's trying to get their high school diploma or trades. You know what I'm saying? You might go and try to do some culinary arts with cooking, or you might try to do some facility maintenance. You know what I'm saying? Electrical work type shit.
And you do end up getting that GED, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I ended up getting my GED on Penn Foster. It was a little class we had to, you know what I'm saying, go through little classes on the computer. Ended up getting my shit down.
And what was your reasoning for getting that? Because there are some that
don't get it.
That once they are expelled, they don't go back, they don't return, they don't go for the GED.
I got it because I was in Job Corps. I was in the class, so I just did what I had to do.
But was Job Corps, for lack of a better phrase, mandatory, forced, or is that voluntary?
It was voluntary because ain't nothing necessarily forced, but my mother wanted me to go. Like, my mother wanted me to go to Job Corps, and I went. I went for my mother, in a sense. She wanted me to go. Because I was putting her through a rack of dumb shit. She was going to have to go to schools and keep fighting for me to get back into school and shit, so she wanted me to go to Job Corps, and I went.
Now, you mentioned floors as well. Was there a time in your life when you were homeless?
Yeah, it was a few times I was homeless.
What was the longest amount of time you were homeless for?
Shit, some years. Like, some years, yeah.
You able to put a numeric value on that?
Nah, like, from like 18, like 17, 18-ish, to like 22-ish, 23-ish. Like, I was homeless as shit, for real, on the low. But motherfuckers, like, everybody always fuck with me, so motherfuckers was opening their door up for me. Like, I got a few solid people that really was opening their door up for me.
What's your definition of homeless?
Not having your own, not having a place to call home.
And care to share how you became homeless? Initially.
I mean, just doing what I want to do, not wanting to follow the rules, you know what I'm saying? Motherfucker tell you, say when you live with somebody, motherfucker tell you, they want you in at this time, you know what I'm saying? And you thinking, hey, what the fuck, I'm blase, I'm this, you know what I'm saying? I'm 18, I'm 19, I ain't gotta come in, blah, blah, so that type of shit. Just doing what you wanna do. So, you know, you do what you wanna do, you gotta get your own shit to do what you wanna do. That's just how it go.
Now, there are some in the audience that have heard that phrase homeless, but have never experienced that themselves. What does that actually feel like, being homeless?
Shit lonely. I mean, shit, your back against the wall, you gotta tighten up and come up with a plan. Shit's simple. Come up with some shit so you can get your shit together.
Now, when you became homeless, again, I'm using these phrases loosely, but would you consider yourself voluntarily homeless in a sense? Because you mentioned something you didn't want to follow the rules, but if you would have followed the rules, you wouldn't have been homeless, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I wasn't homeless like sleeping on outside homeless, you know what I'm saying? I just ain't have my own. I didn't have no. I couldn't dig in my pocket and give my keys and let niggas know like I'd be back here. I'm about to go in the house. I ain't had that advantage. Like I had to live with my man, or had to find a bride, live with a bride, or you know what I'm saying, little shit like that. Like my father, he was living way out West Bubblefuck. You know what I'm saying? And he got his own little shit going on. My mother lived all the way out. My mother lived out Cali. My mother moved out Cali when she sold the house. Sold the house on M Street.
What was your bottom point with your homeless experience? What was your worst point, worst moment during those few years of that experience?
Worst points. I had a rack of little worst, bad, you know what I'm saying, bottom points, but broke, being like dead ass broke and homeless. But I always had drive. I'm gonna make something shake, but broke and homeless. That's the bottom point right there. Not having no money, I ain't not having nobody, you know what I'm saying? That shit hit different, you know what I'm saying?
How much did you actually have to your name at that point?
Man, the time and broke. I'm calling motherfuckers like, for, you know what I'm saying, broke. I ain't got nothing. $40, that shit'll make my little moment. Nigga give me $40, that shit'll make, you know what I'm saying, make a nigga, oh, I bet I can do something. Go get some food or go to the licks, you know what I'm saying, I can do something.
Would you consider that begging?
Nah, cause I knew who to go to with that shit. I go to, like, you know what I'm saying, like, if I'm dealing with somebody, I go to her, or, you know what I'm saying, like, call somebody, you know what I'm saying, I call somebody that I know, yeah, that it ain't gonna look like I'm asking for a handout. I ain't gonna ask no nigga for no shit or no shit like that, fuck no.
Now, these times you were homeless and you were living with a female, were you actually in real relationships with these females? Did you actually have love for any of these females, or were you just more or less using a female for residence?
Nah, it's somebody I be dealing with. It be somebody I be dealing with, like, you know what I'm saying, I'm dealing with somebody.
A real significant other.
Majority, yeah. Majority, like when I was definitely around that time, that's when I was living, you know, so I started living with my baby mother. She got my child, you know what I'm saying? Around that time, like, during them fucked up times, when I really had to figure some shit out, yeah, I was living with my baby mother. I was living with my baby mother and her mother house. You know what I'm saying? It was some shit like that. But we ended up having a child and some more shit.
Do you have a child with her during the homeless period or before you were homeless?
During that, like after we was already locked in, you know what I'm saying? Like at that point when we was locked in, we probably was like 2 years, maybe 3 years into, like, you know what I'm saying, dealing with each other. We ended up having a child. I had a daughter.
Remember what age you were when you had your first child?
When I had my daughter, I was like 23, about to be 24.
An only child at this point.
Yeah, she an only child. But she got nieces and, she got cousins and shit, she got cousins.